Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hotsport. We have so much to discuss today. We have had, cup games recently, so we haven't really gotten back into the bread and butter, which is the Premier League. But in the meantime, so many storylines, so many headlines. We got a jam-packed episode for you today with a very, very special guest. Transfers have occurred. Managers have changed over. Managers are under pressure. Managers are holding rivals' cups. Some teams, this is a critical week for me, I think, in terms of the Premier League. We're going to cover that all right here on Hotsport. All right, so make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. This is my Under Pressure segment. Yes, and I do have a very special guest, as I will show you right after this. It's time for Under Pressure. All right, and welcome to the Under Pressure, my favorite segment. This is going to be the most jam-packed Under Pressure I've had since I started the show. Why did I use the wrong? Should be this. Sorry, guys. Interesting. Most jam-packed Under Pressure, by the way. I want to use this opportunity, as I already said, hit the like button and subscribe to Hotsport. But I have my co-heroes here, who's pictured on the side to the right of me, on Fire Them Cannons. So I want to prop up Fire Them Cannons. That we will have an episode, by the way, live tonight, our weekend live coming up for you guys. We're ahead of Arsenal's trip to Nottingham Forest, so that is going to be a big one. How's it going, Cal? Welcome back to Hotsport. It's been a while since you've been here on the channel.
Yeah, man. It's been a while, but yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. And I think I'm going to start off my segment here by a very interesting topic. I'm gonna try to keep it lighthearted. I think Cal's gonna enjoy this. I'm just gonna play the clip and then we'll discuss it afterwards. And we have to.
Why are you drinking it out of an Arsenal cup? Why? Like what is, I need to understand the logic of, okay, like give me the logic and the understanding why you would be drinking out of an Arsenal cup.
Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he just wants to make a cup of tea and hasn't looked at it.
Well, I don't know. I said that can't happen. You're not the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. You're drinking out of an Arsenal cup before kickoff. Are you joking?
You can't have.
Yeah, that wasn't it.
Before kickoff.
Oh wow, like that.
Holding an Arsenal cup.
No way.
Big smiles, by the way. Big smiles.
I didn't see any of this.
Like to tell me as a Spurs fan how I'm meant to feel about this. My manager walking around with an Arsenal cup is a disgrace. It's shambolic. Whether or not you do notice it, you don't notice it. Whoever's passed you the cup, it's a joke. The whole situation is a joke. And what annoys me the most about it is Tottenham are always the butt of everybody's jokes. They're always the laughable character. They're always the one where everyone takes the mickey out of and give you endless jokes. Dr. Tottenham, Spursy, etc., etc., etc. So you doing this, right, while your arch rivals, your biggest nemesis are going to win the league this season, most likely, when you can barely get a draw, you can barely get a win, you are playing so badly. And it's just a cherry on top of the cake. So whether or not people think it's a reaction, an overreaction, I couldn't care less. That's your opinion. If you don't want to react to it, don't. But for me, it epitomizes everything about this club.
You would not believe how much this story was all over everywhere. I'm not even done.
Drinking from an Arsenal cup. We thought it was maybe a sit-up, didn't we? But it's not. It's not a sacrilege offence. Who's written this? Who has done that to him? That's bang out of it. He can't look at everything he touches, can he?
Sometimes you have to look at the coach and the players. Do more yourselves. The top goal scorer, Richarlison, 7 goals.
It would be a bit of a mistake to fire him right now. But I think if we lose to Villa on Sunday in the Cup, I think he's going to be on terribly thin ice.
I've got some bad news, mate.
I've just had it.
And one more, and this was the legendary expression.
I got enough problems of my own, fam. You know them way there. We can bring this back to the old school best of enemies, blood. Arsenal versus Tottenham, blood. And I'm in the mud right now, fam. I'm in the mud right now, blood. End the season. Sack him now, blood. Sack him now, fam. Sack him now, blood. I want him gone. It's time for Frank to walk the plank, blood. You know them way there? Pirates of the Caribbean, blood. Frank Sparrow, blood. You know what I mean? Have the alligators there waiting for him, blood. Hands tied behind his back, make him walk, blood. I can't swim, I can't save him. I don't want to see this anymore. Get him out, Robbie, blood.
And it is very, by the way, without further ado, I want to like to reveal to you the first manager under pressure, Mr. Thomas Frank, appropriately pictured here with an Arsenal Cup. Does this not bring smiles to your face, Cal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like the whole cup thing, I guess I'd want to say it's not a big deal, but I guess like if I were to think about it, if Arteta had a Tottenham Cup, that'd be annoying. But I don't think, because we're not a laughingstock club, it's not as bad for us as it is for them. And it just kind of adds to the kind of obsession Tottenham has with Arsenal for some reason. But yeah, he's definitely under pressure. And to be honest, I don't even consider Tottenham that big of a club, to be honest. So I'm actually surprised that he's so, like, he's performing so badly at a bigger club. I mean, no, yes, Tottenham's bigger than Brentford, but like, I was expecting a little bit more from Thomas Frank. But yeah, he's definitely under pressure. He's not winning games, and he just he's not playing the football that Spurs fans want to see. And he's out here supporting Arsenal while he's doing it. So yes, not a good look for him. He's just, no one's on his side. He's not winning games. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, again, beyond the Arsenal Cup thing, which I find it hilarious, because he's not like, for instance, if they were playing Arsenal at the Emirates, and of course you're at an away stadium and all the merchandise for the home team is on everything, I could imagine that would be okay. But somehow he's gone we're playing Bournemouth, who, by the way, Arsenal were in that stadium a week earlier, or not even a week earlier, about 4 days earlier. So we must have left some stuff in the away changing room, including maybe our cups. And he must have run out of a cup or something, and he ends up holding up an Arsenal Cup. It's so funny that he actually, the manager himself, had to address this. It is the funniest thing. I'm actually going to play that clip as well. But beyond that, though, Tottenham's form has been awful. I'm just looking at the form guide. The last 5 matches, or even I can go even further back. Let's go look at their previous matches, right? When is the last time that you go? So Tottenham had, wowza. All right, so going back to the 14th of December, 3-0 defeat to Nottingham Forest, 2-1 defeat at home to Liverpool with 2 men sent off that day. They did get a win at Palace. They drew away to Brentford. They drew at home to Sunderland, and they lost last-second goal to the last kick of Semenyo's Bournemouth career to lose this game to Bournemouth. So it's actually crazy. He actually had to go out and explain himself afterwards, which I just think is just to be bonkers, to be honest. And the fact that this has had to be asked of him in the press conference is just very humorous, to be honest.
Definitely not notice it. I think it's fair to say that not winning every single football match. So it'll be absolutely, completely stupid of me to take a cup with Arsenal. So anyone thinking I've done that, or the staff has done it, they've been in the changing room or the game before us. Just normal, take a cup, give me an espresso, do that out before every game. So I think actually it's a little bit sad in football that I need to be asked a question about that. I think we're definitely going the wrong direction if we need to worry about that me having a cup with another logo of another club. Well, of course I'll never do that. That's extremely stupid.
I actually fucking love this. I don't know why. Just as an Arsenal fan, I'm just loving the chaos. I'm loving how such a small little detail thing has literally just rattled everybody in the Tottenham fan base. And in the media, it's so funny.
That always happens, to be honest. I'm just glad it's not against us for a change. Usually it's the small things we get blown up. So it's nice to have someone else under fire for once. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next one in a second. And interestingly, it ties into their match. But one thing I do have to say this, I actually thought that Thomas Frank started out really well. I thought that Tottenham had much improved. But now they're sitting 14th in the table. They finished the season 17th. Serious conversations do need to be made, because what extra improvements has he really made now beyond what Ange did last year? And the football's gotten worse. Like, yes, and we'll talk about some recruitment that they've made recently, but as well, they've got a tremendous amount of injuries. It's just interesting to see a manager that's been newly hired be, like, to a club like this, just be so bad so quickly. I don't know. And I feel like what's interesting is that Daniel Levy made this hire and then he left. So the new hierarchy at Tottenham, which I believe is Vinay, who used to run Arsenal, which is interesting as well. Will they try to bring in their own man? We'll see. It's halfway through the season. I don't know. Cal, last thing on Frank. Should they sack him before the end of the year, or should they just hold on to him until the summer? Your opinion?
There's no point sacking. There's literally no point sacking him. Who they're gonna get? A bunch of the managers are going to be doing the merry-go-round musical chairs after the World Cup, and there are going to be a lot of really good managers available. And then probably can still have time to maybe save his season towards the very end. You never know. Yeah, I think we've gotten to the point where too many managers are getting sacked too quickly. I think with the players that they have, Tottenham, because let's face it, their team is not good. You can't expect any manager to do much with it. So I think they should not. I don't think he should be sacked.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I kind of agree with that in general. I mean, I've spoken about it many times. I'm not a fan of mid-season sacking, especially when you've just brought in a new manager. It takes a bit of time for things to kind of work out and to adjust. They've had a whole heap of injuries. The squad is not good, and I think for me that's an out for him. You know, if I was Thomas Frank, like, it'd be one thing if they had a really, really great squad of players that he wanted. We all saw it. We kind of benefited for that ourselves, which is, you know, they had players that they targeted, and other clubs jumped ahead of the queue to get them. And I think that plays a big part. Like, they're getting kind of like the second-rate players nowadays. That's kind of just, for me, the case. Anyway, move on to the next thing. Am I, like, choppy a little bit in my picturing? I don't know why.
A little bit.
I'll take myself off. All right, I think okay, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I have too many windows. I'm actually just gonna close up all the extra windows then, and see if that fixes my issue. Okay. Moving on. Next person under pressure, and it is in this very same match. Very interesting. This man's already been sacked this season by a different club. And I don't want to take too long because it is West Ham. No offense to West Ham. But last week, there were reports prior to them playing Nottingham Forest that if they were to lose that game, which by the way they did, that, you know, West Ham would seriously consider sacking Nuno. Now here we are a week and a half later, and he's still on the job.
He's their second manager this season.
Yes. So they've already fired Graham Potter this year. By the way, Nuno himself has already been sacked this season by Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, that's what, like, to drive home your previous point about managers, like, people pulling the trigger way quickly on managers. Forest are on 3 managers this season. By the way, I've been hearing discussions recently that Sean Dyche is now in the hot seat. And, like, first of all, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, because that's clearly owner Marinakis not taking accountability for his own issues at his football club. But for West Ham, you're going to start falling into that same thing. I get it. They're in the relegation zone, so you have to take that into account. They brought in Nuno to kind of save them. The football's a bit shit. They don't play good football. They get spanked every single week at home. The resume does say sack him. You know, people, especially when you're fighting survival, you're going to do things to try to save yourself. You know, which is, you know, but I would just think it would be really, really weird if, I don't know, has ever one manager been sacked by 2 different clubs in the same season? in the Premier League. What's the precedent for that?
I'm trying to think. No, I think the closest we got was Postecoglou, really, getting sacked from Spurs in the summer and then getting sacked from Forest. But that's not in the same season, yeah. So yeah, getting sacked twice in the same season is quite harsh. And to be honest with you, the West Ham like sagas are so funny because like Graham Potter, he got sacked because the fans was actually memed him out of the club because they were photoshopping his face on like everyone. So as a protest, so he got sacked. So yeah.
You know what I find nuts about West Ham is that they had David Moyes, who had won them a Conference League trophy. Now, when it comes to Chelsea, I don't really rate it, but when it comes to West Ham and the standards of their club, Conference League, winning a Conference League with obviously Declan Rice as the captain at the time, was a big deal. They, he had them kind of mid-table to high table in the European places, but some reason they felt that he wasn't good enough and they didn't like his style of play, so they sacked him. Then they brought in Julian Lopetegui, who plays really nice football, but the results again started to slip away last year. They bring in Graham Potter. The results start to get a little bit better at the end of last year, and then then they really suck the house out. It's like sometimes that first sacking for me for days, you never know what you're going to be stuck with once you make that first decision. That's why, like for me.
Well, the thing is, it's like I think it's like almost like a team kind of being too big for their boots because they want to play this attractive style of football and win games. I'm sorry, like even the best, some of the best teams in the world don't have that luxury. Don't know why West Ham think they have that luxury. I mean, look at Arsenal. Like we're top of the league, but sometimes we can't play scintillating football to win games. So to expect West Ham to be able to do that, I don't know, man. I don't know. You were winning.
It's absolutely crazy. But the irony is that these two teams actually play each other this weekend in what you would actually think would be a pretty big London derby. I believe if Tottenham do beat West Ham, that Nuno will be out this time, which is crazy. But Tottenham themselves have been vulnerable at home. Their home record, even against teams of West Ham's level, they've had results where they've been beaten at home. So, but on the other hand, they lose to West Ham, who are in the relegation zone. I can't even imagine the type of conversations that we talked about Thomas Frank at the end of this week. So it's look, Tottenham are 14th, right? So this is a bigger game than you think. It's funny, just keep things in perspective. I mean, West Ham are on 14 points. Tottenham are on 27. I do expect a Spurs win, but something's going to happen in this one. Something's going to...
Yeah, getting sacked because you lose to Spurs is not... I would make that call, but yeah, West Ham are they're definitely in the mud right now, so...
I mean, the big one is that they lost the home game to Nottingham Forest, which is, if you're going to survive, that was a 6-pointer. So it went from they could have cut it to 1 point behind them, and now they're 7 points in the hole. So I think I would have gotten if they sacked him after that one, but now you're going away to Tottenham. But interesting to see. We will wait and see. The next couple managers under pressure are actually ones for completely different reasons, and we start with Liam Rosenior. I wouldn't say his job is under pressure at this point because he hasn't managed a Premier League game yet, but what's going on behind the scenes, the separation in terms of the opinions of the Chelsea fan base. Some people, there are a lot of Chelsea fans who, were really, really big Maresca guys, loved Maresca. But when they sacked Maresca, they sort of were like backing the ownership group. And there are a lot of ones who were in the same, who I feel made more sense were big Maresca guys. I think most of them, I don't think there was a lot of Maresca hate, to be fair, in this situation. I don't want to go back to the Maresca stuff. That's old news. We're sticking to Rosenior. But there are ones who were, pro Maresca. And then when they sacked him, they were upset about how Maresca was treated, how, the transfer policy, and the fact that they've kind of gotten yet another yes man to go into the role, which I think was sort of your take on this on this cow, wasn't it? But there are also a lot of people who, back Blueco in this. And it's like just very, very interesting. His first win as manager was a resounding huge win in the FA Cup. Then, of course, we got to see him play against us, and we were pretty impressed
resounding
with the substitutions that he made. Wow. Their win in the FA Cup. I think they won 5-1 in the FA Cup. Their first one.
Who did they play?
Who did they play? It was
a championship
Charlton
team.
Charlton Athletic.
Yeah, to beat Charlton.
Yeah, they beat Charlton. But, it was I'm just saying, giving their results. And then they lost to us 3-2.
You mean they won? They won to us 3-2.
I know. It's ridiculous.
According to the media,
the standards are in the mud. But this is his first Premier League game, right? And I'm gonna save the implications for this game next because we'll get back to it in a different part of this show. But his first Premier League game, and I feel like he's gotten under a lot of pressure already from the Chelsea fan base. What's your take on it, Cal?
I do think so, and also, honestly, because of the memes, he's been getting memed on because of his quotes. The Wade, he's a Wade guy. Unfortunately, he's very Wade, and he keeps saying Wade things in press conferences, and when you do that, you invite pressure on yourself, because he's not making it very good for himself right now. I think he should just stop talking, personally.
The arrogance of him as well.
Even if I think he's just kind of weird, and I really think he should just lay low, because the more he speaks, the more attention he puts on himself, and the more pressure that he's putting on himself. So, yeah, I do think he's on a little bit of pressure here to win this game. Who do they play?
They play Brentford, and it's a 6-pointer, and which is very interesting. But I'm going to talk about that later on in the show when I get to the club
6-pointer.
segment. Yeah, well, we'll talk about it later, and you'll fully understand. But let's wrap up the managers part, because generally I do one manager. I've done a whole segment, managers, players, clubs, because I've got so much catch-up work to do and so much jam-packed news. And recently, that happens during the January window, to be honest. The last one is Michael Carrick, and the reason why I would say he's under pressure is because it's Manchester United. This is going to be his biggest job. He knows, by the way, that more than likely, it's only a temporary gig, that he's got this until the rest of the season. But it's no harder fixture than to start off with playing Manchester City in the Manchester Derby. Since they've sacked Ruben, Fletcher took over for 2 games. And in that time period, they drew away to Burnley, which I don't know. I saw Man United fans getting gassed because they played 4-3-3, but they still drew to Burnley. Oh, what an improvement! I'm like, and then of course, they got knocked out of the cup by Brighton at home, and so the form has been good. They're in transition. I think it's a lot of pressure early on Michael Carrick. It's crazy enough because you really shouldn't have it. The expectations should be low, given that they're playing one of the best teams in the league, but it is the Manchester Derby. Tell me, what do you think?
I don't think he's under that much pressure, man. Like, no one's expecting him to do anything against City. I think if you speak to pretty much everyone's expecting Manchester City to win. No one's asking Michael Carrick to like do something miraculous. I think all he needs to do is have the players put in an okay performance, just not make it embarrassing. Even like if he loses 2-0, I think United fans won't be that upset with him. I think they'd be more upset with the owners and the club itself, more than him personally. Yeah,
I wouldn't say. I would say from a different point of view, as in terms of like a kind of as I outlaid, which is it's a very hard, first game managing Manchester United, and you're thrown into the fire to play one of the best teams in the country.
I'd say
a game where they need to win, where Man City are under massive amounts of pressure to have to
Manchester
win.
City are under more pressure than Manchester United to win this game, because Manchester United are comfortably, in like mid-table, and I mean they're on 32 points. Liverpool are on 35, and Liverpool are like third. I mean, Liverpool are fourth. So I think it'll be fine for him. I think it's a little bit more pressure on City to win, and also we need to remember as well, like he's kind of like he's a Manchester United legend. He knows what it's like to be at United. It's not like he's just like his first rodeo at the football club, and he's been at least as a player been under pressure situations before. So I think he will be able to handle it. To be honest, compared to everyone else on the list, I think he's more equipped to handle what's in front of him than Rafinha, who's a nobody who's saying weird things. Nuno, who's about to get fired, and Frank, who's probably about to, and Frank, who's about to get fired. So, yeah,
it's crazy. I do kind of tend to agree, but I just kind of want to throw it out there just because it's also in the news. And yeah, Manchester United again. That is one of the biggest hot seats, as you know, as shit as they've been in general over the last 10 years or so. It's still one of the biggest hot seats in the league, as you know. And yeah, moving on now, we're going to go to players on the list. And there's a very big theme here, and that is we're under the January window. And when you're in the January window, you know, teams are looking to kind of add specific players to maybe try to kind of bolster or save their position. And the tactics that Tottenham fans have used to try to bolster this man absolutely baffles me. And the first player on this name is Conor Gallagher. And I want to read, this is just my X feed. I looked up Conor Gallagher, just Conor Gallagher on X. And yes, Terry also brought this up early in the week. This is one Tottenham fan says, Declan Rice has literally never had a better season than Conor Gallagher's final season at Chelsea. Stats/eye test back me up. Don't disrespect Gallagher like that. I'm like, yeah, lots of, by the way, the name Declan Rice trending with the name Conor Gallagher is absolutely hilarious. So for me, there shouldn't be much expectations put on Conor Gallagher. This is a Tottenham team that's in 14th place. They need to find some stability in the midfield because they've been absolutely overrun week in and week out by not just top class midfields, but by Granit Xhaka ripped him to shreds the other week. Like literally was cutting through them through butter and, you know, finding his teammates left, right, and center and just dominating the park, winning all the duels. Tottenham have been absolutely. But the Brentford game, you should see the way Brentford just sliced through him over and over and over again last week. They need to get some stability in the midfield. They brought in Conor Gallagher, but Tottenham fans backed up to their own old tricks. Like back in the days, used to say Basuma was better than Rice, and I was hearing Pape Mate Sarr was better than Rice, and Bentancur was better than Rice. And here they are again with Conor Gallagher, who we all fucking know. We know who Conor Gallagher is. He's a player who, by the way, you know, he's very polarizing for a pretty average player. I saw CB crying on his stream earlier about, you know, how he's gone and he played Tottenham after being at Chelsea. I do think that Gallagher is under pressure right away. None of his own fault, but just because of the weird discussions and analysis behind him. For some reason, he's very, very polarizing.
Yeah, I mean, even without the narratives, I mean, because he also was got rid of by two clubs in 2 years, you know, Chelsea and now Atletico Madrid. That's not a player who anyone really wants, really. That don't happen to the elite players. And he's expected to go in and try to help fix this Tottenham team. And even though I think he's probably better than most of their players, I don't think he's the needle mover to really save their season, to be honest with you. So yes, he is under a lot of pressure because there's a lot of, and I think it's because of a very large number of Tottenham fans simply don't want him. And as an Arsenal fan, I can tell you,
think he's Declan Rice.
Yeah, I could tell you that, you know, when sections of your fan base don't rate a player, it affects the player at times. And
yeah, well,
so yeah,
we know that
I think you're right.
with Victor Gyökeres, who's been on my list week in and week out, been removed now because he scores an assist. So I'm happy I didn't have to put him on my list this week. But yeah, well, you know what it's like when a certain section of your fan base starts to, I mean, for me, Gallagher hasn't kicked the ball yet, but to begin with, he's an ex-Chelsea player. And we know, by the way, at Arsenal, what it was like with Matchweek, what it was like at the beginning with the Havertz. For clubs like Arsenal and Tottenham, when you bring in ex-Chelsea guys, already they're under the pump. But yeah, you're right. When most of your fan base doesn't really rate the player, it's an uphill battle to climb to begin with. But then when the rest of your fan base goes the absolute other direction and says, there's no difference between Conor Gallagher and Declan Rice, I'm like, maybe I'm just triggered about that more because I'm an Arsenal fan than anything else. But very interesting conversations with Conor Gallagher. He's supposed to be the savior of Tottenham. Conor Gallagher. Interesting. All right, now into the main topic of the day. This is our main topic, and this is breaking news that has come out since last night for us. Marc Guehi to Manchester City. Here we go. And of course, Antoine Semenyo, last week signed for the club, already scored in both his first two appearances in both the cup games for City. And this is the reason why these two players are under pressure, because currently at the moment, Arsenal sit 6 points clear at the top of the league. Man City have had huge injury issues, especially in their defense. So that's why Marc Guehi's going to come in to sort of try to solidify it. But they're throwing a lot of money at the problem to try to hope that these two players can get them back into the race, and then Arsenal overtake us and win the league. They've shelled a lot of money. I'll do my Guehi thing before you go in, and then we can obviously have a further discussion about it. But for me, I just felt like Guehi was a guy who was available on a free. So whether you like it or not, signing a player who's been available in 6 months is a desperation move. Now, it's a good move in terms of the player they've brought in. He's a good player to bring in. But the fact that they could have gotten him for zero in 6 months, the fact that, I reckon I don't know what the numbers are of him salary-wise are that they've offered him, but I imagine it's something super high, because other clubs at 6 months left to go with your contract can actually offer you pre-contract agreements, or a lot of players do that in January to move into the summer. So that is legal. So teams like Bayern, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Arsenal all had interest. I imagine because of the agent fees and all that, and it being a free transfer, that the salary that he could earn at those clubs was pretty freaking high. So for City to pull this deal off, they would have had to pay the 20 million that they agreed on, plus probably paying a huge amount in agent fees, and as well paying a huge amount in salary to convince the player himself to make the move now. It's a big move. There's a lot of pressure behind it, because City, again, have bought these players now because they know that Arsenal have a really fucking good squad, and they had to do what they can to kind of compete and be in the race. Cal, what do you think? Guehi and Semenyo. Start with Guehi, the breaking news one, and then we'll talk about Semenyo.
Guehi, I could talk about them at the kind of same time. I will say this. I don't think they are under pressure, mainly because Semenyo has already scored twice in his last 2 games, so he's kind of like vindicated, almost. And Guehi, I think these signings put Pep and City more under pressure than the players themselves. Guehi,
that's part of it, though.
Yeah, Guehi is like, whether he performs or not for the second half of the season, he just joined this team, and it's not like Pep was kind of utilizing his center backs in an elite manner anyway. So I think if Guehi doesn't work as well as very, very quickly, that's more on Pep than on Guehi, because Guehi has been performing. And Semenyo, he's already been performing. So he would literally have to kind of mess up, even if he has an average performance against Manchester United. I think no one would be really looking at him and saying, you're the problem here. So I think they're fine. I think they got their big contracts. They're playing for a much bigger club than their previous clubs. And whether they perform or not, I think Pep is going to be the one that gets a lot of flack, because he's already getting flack for the amount of spending that this guy's doing.
Yeah.
And so not at least not as much pressure as Kalaganaga, that's for sure.
No, yeah, for sure. I agree. Look, the one thing I would say, and I'm actually going to talk about City, but more into the context of this week, this match week in the next segment. But I do think, in the big picture, that there is definitely an element where City felt like things were slipping away for them in the title race. That Arsenal have definitely put the scare in them. For all the City fans are saying, "Oh, you know, Arsenal will bottle it; they'll fail in the end." Clearly, the club don't feel that way, because if they did, they would have stood pat and they would have stayed confident. They made moves, big moves. They brought in two of the best players this season on the offensive and defensive side in the Premier League, playing elsewhere, to kind of try to boost the squad. So clearly, Pep himself, the Sheikh, you know, would have felt
Sheikh
like,
Mansour.
yeah, you know, this isn't going to win the league. Arsenal look like they're going to win it. If we're going to do something, we got to do something. You know, we have to shake things up. We have to make moves. And for me, it does smell a little bit like desperation. The Semenyo one, not as much, because the Semenyo one was a good opportunity. He had a 2-week period where he had a release clause between the 1st of January and the 14th of January. So they triggered it. Like, you know, like, had they not paid that, like he was on about a 5-year deal at Bournemouth, then it would have been a really, really hard deal to get done beyond. Like, if they try to get it now, then it would have been a harder deal. If they try to get it in the summer, it would have been a hard deal. So that was sort of a good bargain. But the GUEHI one, for me, again, £20 million, like, again, sounds really cheap for a player like that. But the deal is a lot more expensive beyond just the transfer fee itself. And for me, it just tells me, yikes, we're going to need fucking everything to beat Arsenal. But maybe I'm looking at from the Arsenal lens. I don't know. For me, I just feel a little bit flattered.
I'm just annoyed that they're just spending so much, and they just solve all their problems by throwing the book at it, throwing the wallet at it, you know. So, like they were obviously lacking. They have injuries, and they weren't up to scratch. Well, I mean, up to scratch is still, you know, second in the league, only being 6 points behind Arsenal. But they were feeling the pressure. Now they have these players here, and that should relieve some of the pressure for them.
Yeah, that should relieve some of the pressure. It's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be the Premier League for the second half of the season is going to be very, very saucy. I'm really interested to see what goes on. I think for me, as an Arsenal fan, I am asking my club at this point to really start to be consistent in your performances and not worry about what Manchester City are doing. Just focus on yourselves. I believe still that we have the squad that is still, even with these additions, I believe marginally now, not as much as before, let's be honest, but marginally, I think a little bit stronger than them overall, just because I still think the squad depth is there and available. We're missing about 3 center backs, all of whom are only around the corner for coming back. You know, like, think about it. They're gonna have what's his face, Josko Gvardiol out for the whole year, so he's never coming back. Diaz will be out probably until March. We don't know when John Stones is coming back. Like, he's been gone for a while. We thought he was gonna come back. He hasn't even been in the squad or anything, or Pep has given you no updates regarding the player. Like, this was a deal that they had to get done because the defense was so bad. But, you know, I still feel that Arsenal's squad is better, and we also have a long ways to go. But time will tell. We will see it kind of at the end of the season how things will go. But I do kind of like a little bit of the head start point-wise for us. And for me, that's what matters. I think I would be a little bit more panicked had this been at the start of the year when everybody's starting on 0 and everybody was fully healthy, and be like, oh fuck. But for me, we do have that 6-point buffer. As long as Arsenal are consistent and play well, for me, I think I can sleep at night, at least for the meantime. How about you, Cal? Just to close it off.
Yeah. I'm more worried now that they got both of them. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not as comfortable as you are, because we still. I say this. We still have to play them at the Etihad. So
Yeah.
it's if it was them having to play us at the Emirates, I'd feel a lot better about it. But
Yeah,
it's
we've
not.
got a long way to go and a lot of fixtures to go before then. All right, well, let's get into the clubs that are under pressure for the week. Now, this is a club we've already been mentioned already on the show that we just played in the Cup. And yes, I put featured Cucurella on here because he got sent off in that last Fulham game, which they lost. The run of form for Chelsea has been shocking. Just looking at the last 5, they are winless. 3 draws, 2 defeats. I want to go even further back and see if it gets even worse than that. Because I believe since really they drew with Arsenal, their results overall have been really bad. So I'm going to take a look at that now. By the way, that was end of December. So it's the beginning of December. 3-1 defeat to Leeds. They went to Bournemouth, drew 0-0. Okay, they did get the win against Everton. Then they drew at St. James's Park. They had to come back from 2-0 down for that one. They blew a 1-0 lead against Villa, lost. They drew to Bournemouth at home. Then, I mean, for me, the best result that they've done for us, which is they did come back from 1 goal down to get a draw at the end against Man City, and then, defeat to Fulham. Now, this is where I bring the context of this week's into it, and I said 6-pointer. Currently on the table, Chelsea sit in 8th place on 31 points. That is the same amount of points as Fulham. That is 1 point more than Sunderland, 2 more than Brighton and Everton, and 3 more than Crystal Palace. Ahead of Chelsea on the table are Manchester United, who have been in turmoil for long parts of the season and have sacked their manager, and Newcastle, who also have had a pretty bad season overall, but have actually won the last 3, and Brentford, who sit in 5th, who currently hold the Champions League spot in 5th. If Chelsea were to beat Brentford, they would go 1 point ahead and into that 5th position. However, a defeat at home to Brentford would put them, what is it now? It's a 2-point gap, 5 points behind Brentford in the Premier League. So whether you like it or not, this is a 6-pointer for Chelsea. For me, this is their most important game of the year because it really positions what their season is going to be like under Liam Rosenior. Is it going to be kind of like a mid-table meh, or are they really going to be in for this top 4 race? What's your take on it, Cal?
I don't think it's the most important game of the year. I think that second leg against us is way more important.
I'm talking about the Premier League.
I talk about Prem. In the Prem, because it's his first game in the Prem, I still think he will be given a chance again. I like to say, like, if any Chelsea fan is or the media or anyone is saying that the Rosenior must come into a squad who's objectively played worse than Brentford under a manager that they were used to now play Brentford and actually do something against them is that's unfair. I think that's really
Brentford
unfair.
Have been amazing. Brentford have been on the other side on an incredible form.
So I think under pressure, yes, because this is his Prem game.
Pressure, though? But
yeah, the club,
Liam Rosenior, right?
Yeah, the club
Chelsea.
itself. Yeah. Chelsea itself, they're under pressure from the fans, but for them themselves, everything's going according to plan. The Chelsea Football Club, dude, like they're this is their model. They're right on schedule, baby. Flipping for profits. They got the guy that they wanted to do what they wanted to do. Who's gonna play the players that they handpick, and who's gonna basically gonna exhibition all his players like it's a beauty pageant, and then sell them off to the highest bidder. Come in the summer. This is all according to Chelsea's plans. So they're not under pressure themselves. They're fine. From the fans, I think the fans are putting pressure on them because then there are protests and all that stuff that are being organized and that sort of thing. And yeah, if they don't win this game, it's going to be, unfairly or not, it's gonna be a little, it's gonna be a little dicey.
It would be
It would
very
be dicey.
It would be very. I can only imagine Elijah on the terrace if they were to lose to Brentford. Oh,
Yeah.
and I will be logging.
But to be honest,
into that once
it
I'm
shouldn't
sure.
be. It shouldn't be like a massive surprise if they lose. That's definitely on the cards, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, moving on to the next club, and I do have to explain the reasoning behind this. It's also got to do with where they play in the fixture list. So currently as it stands, by the way, Villa, since having won 7 in a row in the Premier League, at 11 in a row in all comps, got thrashed by us. They did get, a bounce back win, I believe, against, was it Nottingham Forest? And then they, couldn't manage to find the goal against Crystal Palace. A Crystal Palace team, by the way, which we didn't know that was featuring Mark GUEHI for the last time in that game. But in the context of this week, let's just say Arsenal and Man City both win. So Man City play first up, that is the early kickoff. Then Arsenal play Forest. Then Villa do not play until Sunday. At that point, if Arsenal, for instance, themselves were to win, it would be 9 points clear. If Villa fail to beat Everton, for them, 9 points is a death sentence if they had any hope at all of winning the Premier League. Now, you could say there's no pressure because that's not where we're at, but I am just keeping the standards that the media have put upon Aston Villa when they were saying that they were in the title race, when they were saying that Unai Emery was better than Mikel Arteta, when they were saying that, they would be the funniest thing, it would be a really interesting conversation if Villa were to beat Arsenal twice. And a lot of people were saying that were the case. And I'm just saying right now, your little fairy tale dream, if you don't win this week against Aston Villa, against Everton at home, bye-bye.
Honestly, it was.
By the way,
it was all,
City adding as well, so the players have added too as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was always a fairy tale. Like they were never gonna keep up with this, in this title race. To be honest with you, honestly, I expect them to drop more points in the next upcoming weeks. So they'll be this week or whenever it is. I think their job is to ensure that they keep a gap on Liverpool, a decent gap on Liverpool.
Right, Liverpool play Burnley. That's sad to them as well. So
yeah, I think they should. I don't think they're that under pressure yet. I think they have to lose a little bit more. Like if they become at risk of missing out on top 4, which is most definitely should be their target, that's when I would say they're under pressure. But they are overwhelmingly overachieving right now. Overwhelmingly overachieving. So I wouldn't say they're under pressure.
Yeah, I'm just saying in terms of the title.
I mean, if you want to do
title chances,
they would like. For me personally, I never, no one I know, put them in a title race. No YouTuber put them in a title race. Everyone said, even when they were winning, was said like this is a pipe dream. Even before they played us, they were saying it's a pipe dream. Even if Aston Villa ended up first in the league, for some whatever reason, at a point in the season, people would say it's a pipe dream. So, yeah, I think Chelsea's under way more pressure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just giving you the context of this week. And finally, to kick this off, this team is under pressure. Now they have we've already spoken about GUEHI and Semenyo, but they do play this game against Manchester United, and they have to win for me because. Again, it'll be interesting because I think Arsenal got to play their part.
You're right for this one. They're under the most pressure by far.
If they were to not even lose, if they were to draw against United at home and give Arsenal a second crack at that 8 points, for me, I would be so pissed at Arsenal if we failed to make that 8-point gap again in that scenario. I expect us to do it.
Don't. This isn't about us. This isn't. This isn't an Arsenal segment.
Right.
Manchester City, you must beat Manchester United. I'm sorry, you can't be going out here spending money on GUEHI and spending money on Semenyo and doing all this nonsense. Spending half of Arteta's entire budget at Arsenal in 12 months. Can't be doing that and then not actually doing a good job, putting your money where your mouth is. Well, you did put your money where your mouth is. Time to put the football where the money is.
Yeah, for me, I think that's another reason why this is a very crucial week is Mark Guehi is not unofficially even their player, so I don't think he'll be registered in time to play this game.
I would love it if he joined a lost.
They still have got Max Elaine probably starting alongside Kuzanov for this game. This is, for me, this is the big one, because let's say even in the other scenario, let's say Man United go ahead and win, and also the chance to go 9 points clear. Mark Guehi, whatever. It would be too late at that point. It would be too little too late for me. So this is the game. If they were then to go ahead, which by the way, I think I do expect them to do, go ahead, win this game, cut it to 3 points, make sure that make it that we need to go ahead all away from home and beat Forest. They cut it to 3 in the meantime, and it's still, even if we win, it's still 6. Then you're at that 6-pointer with Guehi coming through the door. They've gotten 2 wins back to back. I think they've looked much more improved in their last 2 games. But in terms of the league, let's not forget, they've gone 3 games without victory. Make it 4 in a row. That's not the form of a champion whatsoever, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, that is all time we had for this show today. We will have a different Hotsport show. And just got to say one more time, hit the QR code, by the way. Subscribe to Fire Them Cannons as well as Hotsport. And by the way, subscribe to my good friend Cal, to Cal Gunner TV. He's got the videos going. Let me know, what was your most recent video, Cal?
It was just a match reaction to win against Chelsea.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I haven't watched the video yet. I'm actually going to do that, but I kind of understand what you would say, considering that I watched the game with you. So
yeah.
It should be good. All right, guys. Enjoy the weekend of games. I wonder how all these storylines that we've pulled out today, very interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think, by the way, in the comments section about the managers under pressure, the clubs, the players. Do you agree with me? Would you have any other suggestions? Who else is under pressure? Do you disagree that some of these are? Cal already kind of gave in his 2 cents about some of the guys he disagreed that shouldn't have been on the list, but it is what it is. That's what this is Sphere for. It's for discussion points. Anyway, until next time, guys, Anton out and Cal out.